Welcome to the most anticipated Broad Street Hustle, episode 69.
Nice.
Yeah, I had to throw it in there. I'm
Nice.
sorry. Episode 69 of Broad Street Hustle. It's Travers show only. We are only covering the Travers, so horses only. It should be a great show. Let's get it kicked off. We got Jason Sayeda. Jason, you want to tell us why we don't see you?
Yeah, I'm going to Jimmy the Chalk route tonight. Had a little procedure done on my eyelid. I kind of look like Cut Me Mick, Rocky. Remember that scene? So to save everyone's lunch, I will be covered up this week.
Hell, if nobody's going to say it, I'll say it. I think it's an improvement from how it normally looks.
It probably is.
And we got Jimmy the Chalk.
Yeah, I was going to say you sell yourself short because you never look better, but it kind of stole my thunder.
I opened myself up for that one.
Yeah. And we got I couldn't think of anything, so I went to a classic. The incomparable, the invincible, the unbeatable, Jimmy D.
The legend.
Well, since the host is so kind, I'll say this. Tommy and I can make up for the looks for the rest of the
panel. It's definitely spare. Luckily, nobody has ever revealed the Jimmy the Chalk appearance, so luckily you don't have to deal with what we have to. Jimmy D, quickly, you did not join last week. Eagles over under 11.5. You over? You under?
I'm under. I think and I think I heard you guys say this, but offensive coordinator gone, defensive coordinator gone. Jalen Hurts, he bounces sometimes. I agree with you, Tom. Not that he's got anything to prove, but he just wasn't as consistent as I'd like to have seen him in college, and that doesn't give me any clue that he's going to be consistent again in pros. So I'd say under. I got him at about 9 wins.
Ooh, yeah. Me and Jason were slightly under, but under, and Chalky was over. All right, let's get started. Jimmy D, you were taking a little freshener for the last few. You got any cool Saratoga stories since you've been out there?
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on out here. There's a lot of positives. There's a lot of negatives. The horse breakdowns are the negatives. I think we're up to 13 now.
Jeez.
And
there was Sias is off of mounts because of I guess one of his horses took a heart attack.
He took a heart attack going around the turn. He went through the fence. Louis broke his wrist and a collarbone. He should be out from 8 to 12 weeks. That's a shame.
I think it's actually going to be a little shorter, Jim. I thought I saw today it might only be 5, so it might be optimistic, but it might not be as bad as they were thinking.
Yeah,
and that happened yesterday, Jim? That was yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh,
geez. Grass race.
Yeah. So I know we were talking last night, and I said immediately, he's probably out through Breeders' Cup, but it sounds like it might not be as bad of a situation as they were thinking at first.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like I said, there's 13 down. And, Pete is all over these guys. They want them to cancel racing for the season. It's unlikely that that's ever going to happen, of course. But nonetheless, when they tell you 13 went down, that's 13 on track. That's not 13 in a barn. That's not 13 on the Oklahoma training course. It's kind of unacceptable. But that's sort of the way this meet has gone. There's been really high highs and really low lows in this meet. And, it's a difficult thing to predict.
Not to speculate, because I just don't know, but I guess it was Santa Anita. The meets that have a ton of rain seem to struggle more with breakdowns and track unevens, especially the turf course. But I think it was Santa Anita, right, where the the course got real hard. From all the rain.
Del Mar.
Was it Del Mar? It might have been.
Del Mar had some issues on the turf course, at least I think.
Yeah, then it was but it was like the season where they got more rain, and I guess they normally and.
No, Santa Anita did have some issues too. Yeah, you're definitely right. But I think Del Mar and Santa Anita both had issues over the last couple of years at one point or another.
And then some of those ones on the turf course were questionable if they should have even been running on the turf, and so I don't know.
They've done some strange things. I mean, there's over 50 of them have now been off the turf, as compared to 5 last year. They're getting killed with the mutuals like that. The short fields, you see them, 4 or 5 horse fields, and. And even when you see them running, the turf course is so uneven. Yeah. They're not taking.
I've never seen so many missteps in the stretch of horses.
Exactly right.
I mean, even on what's supposed to be a firm turf, I know the Friday that I was there was a a Cassie horse coming and just took like a bad step and didn't end up winning. And luckily, I mean, I had the winner at second or third choice, whatever. But and then like 2 days later, I saw it happen again. And it's supposedly firm courses where it's just they're just running, and it's like they're not breaking. These weren't breakdowns, but just bad steps. And it's like usually don't see that kind of thing on the Saratoga course.
Yeah. Anything else, Jimmy D? Your boy was back a couple weeks ago. Put on a show for us.
Yeah, you know what, Tom, I can't take a victory lap because most of the time they send this horse back to the barn rather than the winner's circle. So consequently, I'll just say this. I'll even allude to something that I said earlier in the podcast with you guys. The Fightins are 11 up. So Jimmy D's prediction looks shaky. But if you take September into consideration, and perhaps take the fact that they're 16-19 versus the East, 7 versus the Mets, they got 7 versus the Braves. They're on the road against St. Louis, Milwaukee, and San Diego. I think I got a puncher's shot.
So you don't think they're going to make the playoffs?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I just don't think that they're going to wind up 11 games over 500.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not.
But with that said, I will say this. I'll take this half of a lap, Tom. Just a half a lap. You can cut me off. A couple of my good friends on this podcast were bitching about the ride that IRAD gave Annapolis in the Kelso.
Yep.
Well, in that 4-star Dave, IRAD was absolutely impeccable.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was a great ride.
He got first run on Casa Creed. And I think I mentioned this to Jason. You're wrong most of the times in this game. But sometimes it's in the horse's heart. It's not on the form. It's not in his legs. And Casa Creed just ran that horse down. And Mott said it best. He said there's something about this horse that's different. And it's really different. It's really expresses itself here in Saratoga. And let me give you a backstory on that. Lee Zeigler, I think his name is the owner of Casa Creed. His son and the son's wife, his daughter-in-law, were killed. I don't know how. That was never really resolved. It wasn't a murder in the sense of a gunshot, but I don't know how it went down. And it was on the same day that the Casa Creed, of course, the stories are all amazing stories. 3 years later, the same day, Casa Creed wins the 4-star Dave. He ran that day. 3 days later, not 3 years later, 3 days later, he ran, and where Seidler was trying to recoup because he was shocked. The son and the daughter-in-law left a 3-week-old baby behind. And I don't know if it was pills. I don't know what it was. I don't want to speculate. But the murder remains unresolved. And they were shocked. And along comes Casa Creed, who becomes his therapy. And sure enough, this horse, for the last 3 years, have given him, an opportunity to heal. I guess that's nice if you got that kind of money. You could throw your life into a horse. But it's just an amazing story. As a 7-year-old, we're going to come to our predictions later. And I have it from the horse's mouth that Casa Creed's been talking to Channel Maker. So their barns are right next to each other. So I might be tipping my hand early, but I think if Casa Creed can just give him a little bit of an encouragement, he's another horse for a course.
He's got, and he'll have one more chance in the Breeders' Cup, I guess. Probably a little overmatched, but it would be nice. Another fun story if he can carry it out over in.
Well, I know the host agreed with me, unlike some of my compatriots on this particular podcast.
I couldn't believe the price you got on him either, to be honest with you.
Yeah, $570. I'll take it all day.
Yeah, I was shocked on the price. So yeah, I'll take that as well.
Now, if I can be contrarian for a second, and this is coming from a person that did not pick Casa Creed on top, so it's a little bit of a loser, opinion here. Irad, better ride, better position, but Creed's got that closing kick in the stretch, and he didn't open up enough to offset that. So I think Creed's a better horse. No,
but how could he have opened up anymore? He could only make one move.
he could have been a little closer to pace and a little bit farther in distance getting that stretch. He could have. He
If
didn't.
if he
Doesn't.
was riding a car,
that was his only chance. That was his only chance to win, and he
Nah.
didn't do that, and he lost. But maybe he doesn't win anyway. But
Nah,
make him chase you down.
nah.
Yeah, I kind of think he rode as well as he could. I don't
So
know.
first of all, the horse doesn't have early speed anymore. It's not
Yeah.
the jockey. The horse lost his early speed. I thought it was an incredible. He kept him pinned in. I thought it was a perfect ride. And
Yeah, I
Creed
thought he
just
did
flat
all
out
he
beat
could
him.
do.
It could have been perfect, but there was no way Creed was going to lose that race the way that Irad rode. And if that's the best he could have did, it's the best he could have did. But he wasn't going to beat him running that race.
You're tough on the jocks. Jeez, if that's a bad ride,
He doesn't
if
like
that's
to
a
lose.
bad ride, do not watch the stakes race today in Rosario on consumer spending because you'll
Rosario's gone back down. Whatever, he's back to being not knowing what he's doing again. I think there was 2 or 3 rides today that were questionable.
Oh man, consider he was 10 yards the best, and he got the horse in all kinds of troubles, and he lost today. All right, let's jump into it because we are covering the pick 5 that ends with the Travers, but we're going to throw in a bonus race because it is a stakes race. Can't see us spending much time on it, but we will jump right into the Forego. Or how you say it, Jason? I'm not good with words. Forego. And we'll go with Chalky first because again, I can't see too much opinions here. 7 furlong, grade 1. Go.
Yeah, it's elite power, and I know last time out he was all out to beat Gunite. But as Jimmy pointed out, we were both at the track that day, and he watched the replay, and he astutely noticed that he thought the slop getting kicked back in his face was bothering elite power, and it slowed him up a little bit, and he still got up to win. Who knows what the track will be like on Saturday, but he'll win again.
Yeah, I just cannot see this. I mean, you'll hear the argument that this race really doesn't have speed. I guess Pipeline might try to show speed. Gunite will be a little bit closer, but Gunite couldn't have had an easier pace the last race, going 6.5, and Elite Power was able to run them down with, like Chalky said, maybe not even optimal conditions. The horse has run twice at 7 furlongs and has won by 15 lengths in those two races combined. I would be shocked if Elite Power loses. Shocked. Jason?
I'm not as 100% that Elite Power is going to win as you guys. I mean, he probably is going to win, but I still give Gunite a shot. I don't know. I don't know who's going to be on that 4 now that Saez is obviously not going to be on, but if it's a speed jock and he just gets that horse way out, maybe Gunite's further away to tracking that horse, and just maybe Elite Power doesn't get the Gunite, and maybe there's slop. Who knows what the track's going to be like on Saturday? Again, I think Elite Power is going to win, but I might throw one ticket in with Gunite.
All right, Jimmy D.
Just to piggyback, Elite Power's won 8 in a row. The Vanderbilt, in which he beat Gunite, was 6.5 furlongs. This is 7. I did believe he got a late start on him because of the track that day. I think Elite Power beats him by 3-4 lengths in this race. Can't see anything different.
All right. Let's jump into now the pick 5, and since everybody has their glasses on, I'll throw mine on, and then I got to read some PPs here. So I'll put my lights on to make sure I can see. So let's start out with the pick 5. This is could be an easy race or it could be the hardest race of the sequence, in my opinion. I'm not sure if it's shared by all. We'll go to Jason. It's race 8. It's a 5.5 on the turf allowance race, and take a drink if you heard this before. It may rain. Well, it's going to rain tomorrow, and it may rain Saturday. We don't know what the turf course is going to be. We handicap these races for, on the turf for fast dirt. So take it what it is. This one is 5.5 on the turf, Jason.
And Tom, just FYI, as we speak, it's Thursday evening and it's raining.
So, and tomorrow sounds like it's kind of could be bad, right?
And Saturday morning.
And Saturday morning.
Well,
okay,
so
who
there's
knows?
a chance.
But Jason, kick us off for this pick 5 on Travers Day. You know what? I asked Jimmy D, and I didn't even say it. The 154th running of the Travers Stakes Day. So Jason, take it away.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, like you said, who knows if this stays on turf? But uh, if it does, I learned my lesson on not using speed horses in these turf races, these turf sprints. I learned my lesson last week in a contest I'm in. I'm not doing that again. But if the 13 Super Quest gets in, he's going to win the race, the Cassie horse. He's also eligible right now, but like Tommy had mentioned offline, Cassie has another horse in the race. So if he wants to get this horse in the race, he's going to scratch that other horse. So if he's in, he's going to win. I don't know if you want me to.
Now
Since he's an
just do
also
your
eligible?
top, just do your top pick if that's your top pick, and then you can back it up with.
Even if it's an AA?
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
I mean, there's
okay, yeah,
12 horses. Chances are there's going to be a scratch, but yeah.
yeah. All right, so we'll go with him. But there are 2 horses I'm interested in as well. So
Yeah, so one thing I learned, I don't know, maybe you guys know this. Do you know how, so Irad's listed on the 12 and he's listed on the 13. You know how you know which his first and second call is for the races is?
Are you quizzing us, or do
Quizzing.
you know the
I
answer?
know
or
the
you-
answer. Yeah, I'm quizzing you.
I don't. I don't
So
know
it's
the-
actually in the Equibase overnights. If you take
wow.
out the overnight, there's a number next to a jockey's name in parentheses. It says 1, 2.
Oh, wow.
The 1 indicates his first call, obviously 2. So the 13 is Irad's first call. He has the 1 next to his name. So if all goes well, there's a scratch, and both horses, both the 12 and 13 are in. Irad will take the 13 as his first call of the mount. So I just learned that. I
Interesting.
thought that's pretty interesting.
That is interesting.
Jimmy D, I should have went to you first. I made a mistake because your boy is running in this race. The 7, he's going on dirt to turf, but I believe
Oh
acoustic.
man, I wish you could see this because that's exactly who I had picked.
I remember
That's
from
exactly
I
what-
might have been last year at one of the Saratoga
It's exactly
shows.
like Acoustic Avenue. I love the angle that he's going from dirt to turf. It's Clement, and you got to put a line through that quick call because it was a sloppy track. He just didn't like it that day. Clement's 251 in ROI going in that direction. I think the horse is going to win at a price. He's 8-1 in the morning line. I think he's got a shot. He'd be the pace of the race. I think, I think he's got a shot.
All right, top pick, Acoustic Ave, Chalky.
Yeah, full disclosure, I completely botched this and did the late pick 5, not the one that begins with race 8, despite Jason's text this morning saying do the one that starts with race 8. So we're going to go all as the top pick in this leg.
He did say we're going to be doing the pick 5 that ends with the Travers. So
yeah, he did. He did say that. Well, when we give out a ticket, I'll have a pick, but I have not handicapped this race yet.
So caution on that ticket, listeners, because he admitted he did not handicap it yet. He will have a ticket with this race on there. So if you don't have access,
I mean, I'll give out my late pick 5.
so if you don't have access to
How
an
about
ADW and you want to use Chalky's pick 5, just send me a text and I'll make sure that bet gets in for you guys.
Tom, I can't get on him. He helped me hit a pick 5, so I got to give him a pass.
And yeah, for me, it was a slam dunk if the 13 gets in the Cassie horse. He's speed. It's Irad. He has the best numbers. He's outside. He's going to be able to dictate the race. So to me, it's a slam dunk on the 13 if he gets in. If not, I do think it's wide open. But let's roll back around, Jason. It's coming back to you. So your top pick was the 13. Who are your alsos?
Yeah, I had 2 other horses I like. They're both speed. The 7, Acoustic Avenue, with Franco and Clement. Tried to get him in a stakes race in a turf sprint last time. Got rained off. He did stay in the race, but again, I'm using speed. And then the other one was the 9, and he is Immortalization. That's Gaffleone and Norm Cassie. Again, I'm looking for horses that are drawn outside in turf sprints that have speed. That's my angle.
All right, Jimmy D, let's go back to you. So Acoustic Ave was your top pick, but where else are you going?
I'd like to go to the 4, Tom. I think this horse could be he can rate or he can go out to the lead, which I like. It's a Rice Ortiz combination in a 5.5 sprint. That's lethal, as it always is. I have to respect that. I think we'll have a bona fide shot on Saturday.
Anywhere else? You're going,
No, that's it.
yeah.
Two horses in the
All
no.
right. Yeah, for me, what's interesting is you had quite a few, Acoustic Avenue, the 4, the 5 horses that are, or not the 5, the 3, like going dirt to turf, which is, I don't know if that's the possibility of rain, so they figure they can, best of both worlds, or they think their horse can get some turf. So, just thought that was interesting. Yeah, for me, my other uses are, it's hard for me to look past the 4 going dirt to turf, same angle as Jimmy D said. You guys nailed it with the 7 Acoustic Avenue. Um, if the Cassie 13 doesn't get in, I do think the other Cassie, the 6, Holly Flammable Casano, is super live. And for me, after watching last weekend, and I saw whatever chemist that David Jacobson has on his payroll, he had a horse that looked like a NASCAR. Just ran 44 half and won by 10 lengths. So I can't leave Jacobson off with the 12. So I was pretty deep. If the 13 does not get in the race, if the 13 gets in, I think it's a single opportunity. All right, let's move into the late pick 4 version of the pick 5, where we do have all stakes ending in the Travers, which is nice. Who we haven't started with Jimmy D yet, so we're going to go race 9. It's the 7 furlong Alan Jerkins, grade 1, Baffert shipping east with 2 horses in this race.
That's all you need to know, Tom. You could stop right there. Baffert shipping east with 2 horses. One he paid 600,000, the other one 700,000. He doesn't do that.
And I don't have stats on it. Question, and that's one of the reasons why I was a question. Why is he running 2 horses here? Is he just looking for first and second? Is he trying to get black type with one? Or sometimes it's an indication like I don't have a dominant horse, so I'm taking 2 shots. Or you know what I mean. So it's weird. Like he wouldn't just run one of them; that he's actually throwing both of them in here, where he can separate them and go somewhere else.
Yeah, he could have ran Fort Bragg in a longer race too, because the horse can do distance. I don't know. He shipped the Belmont before with these horses. What his reasoning is, I don't know. But when he comes in with buyers of 109 and 106, it's hard to bet against this. It could be a Baffert exacta, but I would lean to the 6. I would lean to Arabian Lion. Velasquez takes that mount. The horse is showing bullet works. He's career best buyer in the last race at 109. He's ready to go. Baffert knows it. I think it stops right there.
All right. How about you, Jason?
You're on mute.
Yeah, we're not hearing you.
Sorry, guys.
It's only 69
Arabian
episodes.
Lion.
We'll get there.
Yeah, no, it's just a rough one for me tonight. But Arabian Lion is drawn perfectly in this race. Speed, outside. I think he wins. I do have another horse I'm kind of interested in. And he swing back to me, though.
All right. Chalky, did you cap this one? Or were you
no, I handicapped
Belterra?
the early pick 5. I thought that's the one we were. I got Charlestown for Friday night. Those were
Jason, you stepped away.
Those are the sheets. Those are the
Chalky
sheets. Chalky
capped the wrong pick 5 and did not have capped the last race.
Yeah.
So,
despite being explicitly told that we're doing the one that starts with race 8, but I'll have a pick by the time we get back.
Gotcha.
So you mentioned the 2 Bafferts, and interestingly enough, he was going to make this same move with the Woody Stevens, and Fort Bragg had a scratch day with a fever, so he intended to run them both that day. I'm going Fort Bragg here. I would expect Arabian Lion will be a little closer to the pace or on the pace, so that New York Thunder doesn't get away like he did in the Amsterdam. And Fort Bragg should sit right back, and I'm going to take Fort Bragg at a slightly longer price. I think it'll be more of a gap than 2-1 versus 5-2 morning lines on the actual betting, but I'll go Fort Bragg as my top pick.
all right, and just for New York Thunder didn't get away from the field. He ran a 21-3 and a 43-2. So I don't care who was trying to take you. It's not like they let him get away. He got away because he ran a bullet through the sheet. And that's where I'm actually going as my top pick is back to New York Thunder. He absolutely exploded on his first race on the dirt in the Amsterdam. We know these Travers days, these tracks are souped up. They're almost like runways. I do not see Arabian Lion being able to keep up with him early. So I think the best bet is Johnny V is going to have to just let him go and hope he comes back to the field, which is certainly possible. But I'm going to take that. He keeps going. He ran 21-3, 43-2 at 6.5. With 6.5 is actually a distance where you can see some closers, more so than 7, where you see more speed. Now they're stretching out to 7. So I am going to go with 5 New York Thunder as my top pick. Jimmy D, you went with Arabian Lion. Did you have anywhere else?
Yeah, I don't see New York Thunder. I mean, it's coming out of Woodbine. It's a let me just get this right. Synthetic track. Um, Gulfstream was there before and ran against absolutely nobody. I don't see it. Johnny V gets off Fort Bragg, so he's telling you Arabian Lion's the better horse. I'll stay there.
Jason, you said you had other opinions.
Yeah, I was a little interested in verifying the 3, cutting back. He's been running in some big races, and he's a talented horse. So a lot of times in this King's Bishop / Jerkins, you get a cutback horse that runs a big race. I'm gonna give him a shot as a backup.
All right, Chalky.
Yeah, 3 verifying for the reasons Jason mentioned, and then I would certainly also include the 6 Arabian Lion, but I'm going to take a stand against New York Thunder.
That's what I like to hear. Arabian Lion was my other pick. He's improving. He sat a perfect stalk trip, which I think he does again to New York Thunder. And if New York Thunder does back up, I think he's the first run at them, and I think he's just better. So I think he's the one that catches and goes by and holds off the rest of the field. So I was New York Thunder and then Arabian Lion as my second pick. All right, let's move to race 10. It's the Ballerina, 7 furlongs again, but this time for the ladies. Jason, we'll go to you first.
Yeah, Echo Zulu to 6 just kind of freaked in the last race at Saratoga. She obviously likes Saratoga. If anything, it's a 2-horse race, but I'm going to be 95% of my bets are going to be on the 6 Echo Zulu. I just think she dusts this field.
Yeah, I mean it's a common theme I think for this day is a lot of these races are 2-horse races. I don't see prices. I think it's a very, very chalky sequence. And I'm not going to change here. I am Echo Zulu all the way. Great at the track, good at the distance. Probably, like Jason said, a 2-horse race, and I'm sure we'll talk about the other horse. But my top pick was Echo Zulu, the 6. Chalky?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Goodnight Olive, the 7. I'm assuming that the 5 and the 6 are both not going to run. I think the 5 is there at Charlestown, so I'm guessing they're going to go there. But that's same owner for Asmussen. I can't see them both going in the race. And Echo Zulu would obviously be the one he'd keep in, I think. But, Goodnight Olive, she's not running back to some of the numbers she had late last year. But she's beaten all these horses before. And the one race she lost, she got boxed in and basically out, Irad got outridden at Churchill Downs, and she didn't get a clean run. So she's beaten these horses. So I'm going to go back to the 7, Goodnight Olive.
All right, Jimmy D.
I love Goodnight Olive. I'll tell you one thing about Saratoga. And again, I won't take the victory lap, but I will say this. You don't have to change the lawn jockey for Casa Creed. All you have to do is change the year. Goodnight Olive won this race last year. Going to win the race again this year. Loves the Ballerina. Highest speed figure was when she ran the Ballerina in 23. She's 2 for 2 at Saratoga. Everybody knows I love a horse for a course. And she's shooting bullets up there. I think she can beat Echo Zulu, who I really respect. But I think Goodnight Olive is playing on a home turf.
All right, let's go back around. Jason, were you anybody else besides Echo Zulu?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Goodnight Olive would be the other horse. And, she certainly is a great horse. I just didn't like how she was kind of life or death in that last race. I don't know. In the Bed of Roses, I mean, she almost lost that to Wicked Halo. But, if I played another ticket, that would be the only other horse.
I'm same as Jason. If I played another horse, it would only be Goodnight Olive. I don't know. I thought Chalky answered the question when he said that she's not running this. She's running less than her numbers. I mean, for a 5-year-old mare who starts to run numbers slower than she ran as a 4-year-old is not usually a sign where they're going to continue to improve as the season goes on. And to Jason's point, I guess she ran a 98 buyer in that race, but it was still slower than her top. She had to really fight to get there. You know, um, Jimmy D alluded to somebody that didn't run against that. Maybe New York Thunder haven't beaten nobody. I mean, Goodnight Olive beat Wicked Halo and Carmel Swirl, who's in this race again. So, not very impressive. I'm going to take go with the horse that's continuously improving and is the speed in the Ekazula. So, Goodnight Olive would be my other use. I just may not. I may just stay with just the one. Chalky?
I mean, it's only Goodnight Olive for me, and I guess I'm not going to give as much weight to that 112 as you guys are, and that might be the fatal mistake. But other than that huge jump, I mean, her numbers, even running a little slower, are still better than anything Echo Zulu's been running. So if Echo Zulu duplicates that, she will definitely win this race. That's 100%. But I'm going to bet she's not.
That's only on buyer speed figures, not if you look at some of the other speed figures, but
not all of us were sent the other speed figures. So
well, some of us have access. Jimmy D.
Well, the one time they met, Goodnight Olive beat Echo Zulu back in the sprint, the Breeders' Cup sprint. I don't see it changing this time. I understand. I was told by a guy one time that when these mares get a little older and they're not running their speed figures, as you alluded to, sometimes it's difficult for them to get back into their form. I agree with that. I don't think this Goodnight Olive is out of form yet. Again, the works have been good. I think she likes to track. Nothing against Echo Zulu. It's a great horse, but I would stick with.
I just think the only question mark is, and I don't even think it's a question mark. You show me a race where Echo Zulu got the lead and lost. She didn't, right? So she would have to not get the lead, in my opinion, to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And do you see any of these horses that are faster than her early? I mean, obviously the break could make a difference, but I mean, who's faster early? Nobody.
Not out of the gate.
Right.
No.
So that's my problem is I just see her getting the lead, and when she's on the lead, she doesn't lose. She hasn't lost. I mean, she can. Goodnight Olive has a better closing kick, but Jimmy D, you said she lost. Echo Zulu lost to Goodnight Olive in the Breeders' Cup, but look at the run line. She was behind Goodnight Olive and close. I mean, that's not her run style. Mm-hmm. So that's a throwout race for me. So that will be a good race. Should be a good race. Let's just hope we get. There wasn't a race at Echo Zulu, Matarea, where she was a late scratch. I think was it at Saratoga?
Yeah, it was the Acorn on Belmont Day last year.
So let's just hope they all get it in the gate, because if one of those does not, then it's not a very interesting race. All right, so we got a mile and a half on the turf. The Sword Dancer. I have a little inside information, so I'm gonna use it and go to Jimmy D first and give him the floor to basically take over for the Sword Dancer. Where you at, Jimmy?
Well, I'll tell you. I like hard knockers. There's a 9-year-old in this race that went to post. Let me see here. He went to post, I think, 55 times. He's made almost $4 million. I like Channel Maker. He's coming off a win this year in the Bowling Green. Mott's got him to top form again. And like I said earlier off the air, I really think that his stablemate is going to talk him right into a win, and that's Casa Creed. If they discuss the race, Casa Creed will help him.
All right. So you got a little story behind it. Chalky, where you at?
Not Channel Maker. I'm going on top one, Soldier Rising. That Bowling Green that Jimmy just mentioned was a bit of a disaster from the start for Soldier Rising, where he was inadvertently listed as a scratch, so he ran and raced for personal money, so we don't know what his betting odds would have been. And then with the Appleby horse, I think they tossed the jock, he had to get checked, and there was other kind of disaster behind, which I think helped Channel Maker win, is that some of those horses that were behind got thrown off by that. So Soldier Rising, I think, was in good shape for that race, and I'm going to go back to him here as a top pick.
All right, Jason.
Yeah, I'm just not incredibly impressed with the horses in this race. I mean, there's no speed other than Channel Maker. I just don't see him winning again. Like Jimmy the Chalk said, there were some circumstances that kind of helped him a little bit in the last race. To me, 7 Stone Age is the best horse. The only problem with him is he doesn't seem to like to win. I mean, what is he, like 2 for 15? But, by process elimination, I just have to use that horse. There is another horse I'm going to throw in that I liked in prior race, but 7
Did
Stone Age.
Brown always had Stone Age? That was always his
No,
horse?
he just got him.
Oh, why is that not in the PPs?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was it was O'Brien, wasn't it?
I think O'Brien had him last year.
Yeah, and it's not in the
Appleby.
I think it was O'Brien, but it's not in the PPs, which is I'm just puzzling to me. I mean, you guys nailed it as far as why I don't like Channel Maker, because that race to me was a complete toss out for his victory. But Jason said it, there is no pace in this race, so Channel Maker should be on the lead. And the only horse that's going to could be remotely close is Pratt and Stone Age, the 7. And if you look at the races that Stone Age loses, he finds trouble in all his races. But look at the field sizes: 12 horses, 10 horses, 13 horses, with 12 horses, 10 horses. So he finds trouble in races that have big fields. I mean, you're talking a 7-horse field where most of these horses can't even keep up with the field. So I can't see him finding trouble. I see him not being that far off a Channel Maker and just kicking by Channel Maker easily in the stretch and nobody catching him. Like I said, I think this is a super chalky Travers day. And the chalk continues with Stone Age, the 7. Jimmy D, were you living and dying on the Channel Maker boat?
Well, I'll tell you what. I saw Fabian Pratt on Saturday night in a harness race against Brett Beckwith. And it was interesting because if I was the agent of Flavian Pratt and he wanted to ride in a charity harness race with the Travers week coming up, I would have put a rope around him and strangled him and kept him in his bedroom. But they think differently. But you know what makes horse racing great? I'm listening to everybody and make a case against Channel Maker, and I get it. He loses a lot. So did Castle Creed. But in the last race, he was bumped at the brake. He broke inside, broke crooked, responded, and was never headed in the race. I think loose on the lead can be very, very dangerous up here. And he achieved, and again, the way you want to read a Byers, I like the Byers in the racing form, it was as high as Byers in 3 years. So that horse looks like he's ready to run to me. I wouldn't hang on to a Channel Maker, a 9-year-old, too long, but he's coming right back. I think he can be there and do it again.
All right, Chalky, were you going anywhere else besides the 1?
I mean, just because on class, I think, Stone Age has to be used, although the seconditis does concern me a little bit here. Just look quickly, that was an O'Brien horse before. I don't know if this is Brown's first race with him. I'm assuming so because Brown doesn't typically run in Qatar and Hong Kong, but it wasn't O'Brien previously. On class alone, pretty much goes above the field, except for, say, Channel Maker, which, I mean, if this was a 6-year-old Channel Maker, I'd go Channel Maker maybe in this race, but I'm not betting on him repeating that for that form again at this age. But Stone Age would be the only other horse I'd use.
All right, how about you, Jason?
Yeah, the 2 Verstappen. I used him in a contest, and he ran really well in that Channel Maker race, and I'm going to give him a shot here. Maybe if he's a little closer to Channel Maker, he gets a first run on everybody. I'm going to give him a shot as my backup horse, the 2 Verstappen.
Yeah, I'm going to die with Stone Age. I just think he's the class of the field. He's going to have the best trip of the field, and Chad Brown in a turf stakes race, sign me up. All right, let's move to the big one. We're going to go horse by horse here as we have plenty of time. As you go through the horse, if it is your top pick, say it. But you can even say if it is a horse you're going to use. But, yeah, just shout out your top pick as we go through. We're going to go, boom, right in the order that I'm looking. So, Jason, you get to start. It's the 154th Travers, mile and a quarter. We're starting with number 1, Fort, the morning line favorite.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a total toss for me. He paired ones. He's probably got another big jump up in him. But I'm going to try to beat him. And one of the reasons is if I watched the wonderful draw that they had where they drew this race, but didn't draw any other races. So that's a great help. But anyway, when I watched the draw, they asked Pletcher about, having the inside draw. And at first he was like, it doesn't bother me. But then he said, but I'd rather be drawn outside. So a guy like that who really doesn't give out any information, I think he keeps everything close to the vest. I think that meant something to me. That I don't think he likes this draw. And I don't think Forte likes running inside horses. And for that reason, that's one of the reasons I'm going to try to beat him.
Chalky?
Yeah, I've gone between about 3 different horses going this race, but right now I have landed on the one Forte as my top pick. And as much as I try to beat him, the horse just finds ways to win. And even when he didn't win this year in the Belmont, his actually he wasn't the best on the sheets. That was Tapper Trice, believe it or not, but he ran a better sheet number than the winner, Arcangelo. And Salty Crown gave him all he wanted in that Jim Dandy, and certainly there's an argument that I won't make, but some might make that he should have came down. But the horse just finds a way to win, even if it's not super impressive. So as we sit here today, he is my top pick, even with the inside draw.
All right, Jimmy D, Fort.
Jimmy the Chalk, there's 1,700 reasons I can give you why I wouldn't want to take Forte down. I'll make Forte Italian. Fort's Metagon. Anyhow.
I agree with that.
I said Forte.
The Jim Dandy winner wins the Travers. But I could not see betting this horse at 7-5. He is not that much better than 3 other horses in this race. I give the horse nothing but kudos for what he's done thus far. He's an improving type of horse. He got a bad break with that whole Kentucky nonsense that occurred to him. But I'm off him. He'll get on the board, but he's not my top choice.
Right. And for me, I had this as a 2-horse race as far as who I like. He is not my top pick, but Fort was one of the horses that I do like. Jimmy the Chalk, the horse just wins. The Florida Derby, he looked dead in the waters. He put his nose down and just kept grinding out. Won. The Belmont, he looked dead in the water. He kept coming. Never really threatened to win, but he did pass his stable, another Pletcher horse in Tapper Trice. The Jim Dandy, he had all kinds of trouble. He bullied his way through and won that race. But to Jason's point, the inside is concerning because Pletcher, I feel like I've heard him say that before, where the horse doesn't necessarily want to be inside horses. So that is concerning. But again, I'm he has the best numbers. He was the best 3-year-old coming into the year. He was the Derby favorite if he ran. So I'm going to stick with him as one of my horses, the 1-4. All right, now 2, Chalky, Arcangelo, the Belmont winner, and Castellano decided to stay with him for the Travers and jump off of the 4 Mage. Where you at with Arcangelo?
So this is one of the 3 horses that I kept going back and forth on. So right now, Arcangelo would be a B if you're going ABC structure for me. Look, the horse has improved, at least on the buyers. Speed figures have improved every single race. Good series of works coming in with that just last one going around the 5 furlongs, but a couple of good ones going before that. Castellano, as Scully mentioned last week, not riding the best right now, but he did make the choice to go on here. Definitely don't want to leave off an ABC ticket, but will be a couple low as far as my top choices.
Jimmy D?
It's hard to root against Jenna Antonucci. I was at the Jockey Forum Club that she actually spoke out against the top trainers and some of their methodologies and some of the drugs, legal drugs, that they were administering. I give her credit for that because she's one of those 8% trainers that struck gold in the Belmont. I'm glad she did. But this was a $35,000 purchase. I don't think this horse. I think it was a one-trick pony. I don't think this horse can run against these horses consistently. I'm a pass on Arcangelo.
Yeah, I'm more towards Jimmy D than Jimmy the Chalk, as far as probably lean more on a pass than a B. Not saying I would be shocked, but I don't know. To me, that Belmont, that horse had a perfect trip, sitting inside, got through on the inside part of the track. had the lead at the top of the stretch ish, and usually don't give that up in the Belmont. So Peter Pan winner, $35,000, less than the stud fee for the horse. So I'm going to stick with a pass on Archangel as well. Jason.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I'm not using this horse. I'm going to toss. If you look at the PPs, only him and National Treasure, those two horses haven't run since the Belmont. Baffert, I trust. Jenna, unfortunately, I don't know if I trust her. To pull off a move like that. I kind of agree with Jimmy D. I don't know if this horse has the class of these other horses in this race. I will not use Archangel.
All right. The 3 Tappet Trice, another Pletcher, and I get to go first here. This horse would be a B for me. I don't think it's a total toss on this horse. It's one of those weird things where adding the blinkers I see as a positive, but I see as a negative as well. So the positive, this horse is goofy. Everybody, this horse is goofy. He doesn't like to go sometimes. You got to stay with him. So you would think Saez would have been the perfect jock for him. He's pretty active throughout the race. So you would also think that the blinkers should help this horse be more focused early in the race to kind of grind it out. But again, the horse ran 8 times now, and Pletcher's just putting the blinkers on. And everybody saw the horse had all kind of focus issues. So why not try the blinkers a little earlier? So that's the negative part. Jose could be aggressive, although we didn't see it in the race last week with Chocolate Gelato for some reason. But he could be aggressive. So I could see this horse being closer to the lead than normal, kind of like when he made that big move in, Tampa Bay Derby to get closer to the lead. Was it one of the Bluegrass to get closer to the lead? So I could see a similar run. I just don't know if the horse is fast enough at the end of the day. So I probably would not use on top. Like I said, maybe a B, but I definitely could see rounding out the board for sure. And there's only 7 horses, so it's not like that's a huge feat. But Jason?
Yeah, adding the blinks, you would think that Jose is going to be a little more aggressive and have him closer to the pace. I'm not using this horse, but the one thing I did find interesting is if you look at his thoroughgraphs, he ran a 1 in the Bluegrass, then he ran a 5 in the Kentucky Derby. He ran a 1 in the Belmont, then he ran a 5 in the Haskell. He's due to run a 1 again. Is that good enough to win? Doubt it, but he probably could get the board, but I'm not going to use the win.
Okay, chalky.
Yeah, it did surprise me that he had the best number coming out of the Belmont of the top 3 finishers that we see here with 1, 2, 3 spots. He's not. He's. I mean, Tommy said it best. There's 7 horses. He could certainly get a minor placing. He's not a win candidate for me.
Jimmy D.
Well, you know what? I think you've heard it's always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Even an ugly girl or guy gets married once in a while. I like Tappet Trice to win this race. I think it's due. She's always gotten herself in the middle of the pack. She's never been able to get first run on anybody. I think the change of jock was considered. No knock against Saez, just a different type of rider. And Pletcher doesn't use Jose all the time. I really think with this particular equipment change, this horse is going to run a different race on Saturday. And I think Tappet Trice can win. And win at a 12-1 price would be fabulous. I don't think it's going to go off that high, but nonetheless, that's the morning line.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the other horses will take money, but I don't know, maybe a horse like National Treasure doesn't actually go off at 8-1, so maybe that's where some of the price comes down. But I think you will get a good price. All right, let's move to the 4 Mays, and Jason, you get another fun horse to talk about. Take it away.
Yeah, this is going to be my pick to win. The horse ran a 0 thoroughgraph in the Haskell, and according to the trainers and owners, he wasn't cranked at all. He just was in that race to kind of, get some bottom in him and get him prepped for this race. Runs a good style. He should be mid-pack. and he might get first run on these closers before Forte, or on the speed before Forte. Saez was meant to be on the horse. It's not really a huge drop off to get Pratt. I mean, I think Saez is probably a better dirt jock than Pratt, but not by much. So I like Mage. I think Mage, he's going to be my pick to win this race.
All right, Chalky.
Yeah, I know having to decide between Saez and Pratt really tugs at Jason's heartstrings over there. But
Pratt on turf.
Saez though, through private text, it seems like maybe him and Saez.
I know. It's love is fleeting sometimes.
I've had a little issue with Saez on in races where he's not going to win.
Yeah.
Stop riding. And not get bored.
I feel like I've noticed Jason's new crush on the turf. Is it
you might have.
Lescano? I feel like it's Jose Lescano. His new crush.
Hey, listen,
I'm
very well.
I'm 13 right now. Right, Jimmy D? I'm 13 right now. So
13
correct. 13 in a large contest.
So anyway, and while we're talking about love, as Jimmy D said, ugly people get married, but Tapit Trice would be more likely to get married at, say, the West Virginia Derby than at Travers, I think.
well,
nonetheless,
Jimmy D referred to him as a she the whole time. So I don't know if West Virginia would take kind to the Tapit Trice marriage. I don't know about that one.
No, that's definitely in question. Mage is not a win candidate for me at all. He did run a nice number in the Haskell, ran a good race there, better than I think we expected. If you believe the hype of he wasn't really ready for the race, but we were just going to let him run anyway. But he has not beaten Forte yet, so I don't think he's beaten Forte this time around.
Yeah, so Mage it was a 2-horse race to me. Fort was one of them, and Mage is the other one. And I'm going to make Mage my top pick only because of the 4-1 price over the 7-5 price. But honestly, I think they're pretty equal. And to Jason's point, I think Mage has that nice middle move, and he's going to get the first crack at the top horses on the lead. And I think he'll just have to hold off for it to take it. Mile and a quarter is a question mark for all these horses. I mean, Fort, you don't know if he's grinding out a mile and a quarter. We haven't seen it yet. Mays, you've seen it in the Derby, but that was also a crazy pace, and he was the only one coming. So, he got the distance, but how much of the pace factored in? But I do think you'll get a pretty honest pace here as well. And the drop-off from Saez to Pratt. Now, I will say Mays is another horse that seems to can be a bit lazy early in races. And Saez's style, I felt, fit the horse perfect, where he likes to kind of scrub the horses throughout. And he did it with Casa Creed. If you watch that last race, he's active. His hands are always active on the horse. Where Pratt, I feel like, tries to settle a little bit more and make his run. So I'm hoping that doesn't affect the horse, because I really did like Saez on this horse. But nonetheless, Pratt is a great jock, and I'm going to stick with Mage as my top pick. Jimmy D?
I don't like Mage. I'll tell you why. You went on 4-1 in the Haskell. That's your Derby winner going on 4-1 in the Haskell. Somebody's telling me that they don't like that horse. And if you believe for 1 second that Gustavo Delgado ran in the Grade 1 and was only prepping him, then you believe that the Brooklyn Bridge is for sale. He wanted to win that race. He couldn't win that race. And the jockey change, unfortunately, that Saez got hurt to Pratt. Pratt's a good jock. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Well, he's a good driver, too, now. He runs harness horses. But he hasn't sat on this horse. He didn't work out this horse. He doesn't know this horse. That's a problem for me. And the fact that Castellano was going to go to Arcangelo, I know he responded late, but he was vacillating between Arcangelo and Mage. I don't think Mage is going to hold form. I don't like him in this race.
All right. So a lot of good difference of opinions on this podcast, which is great. All right, let's move to the 5 National Treasure. It's the Baffert of the field. And we are up to who's Chalky.
Yeah, no real interest in this one for any of the placings. The Pimlico Preakness was the standout if you look on the lines. I just don't see him running back to that or running easy in the lead like he got in that race. So no interest.
Jimmy D.
Well, I didn't have West Coast and I didn't have Arrogate when Baffert came in and bombs away. So I'm not going to have National Treasure either. I just don't think this horse can win this race. He hasn't run since the Belmont. Hasn't done anything special since then. I don't like him. I can't use him.
Yeah, and it's up to me. I also did not like the only thing. Baffert is pretty good with equipment changes in stakes races, both on and off. However, this is a horse that he has tinkered both on and off with, so I feel like that changes it a little bit. I mean, I feel like the only factor this horse is for the pace and nothing else. I don't see even placing for this horse. Jason.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I'm not interested in this horse. I think his only chance would be if he gets an uncontested lead. I don't see that happening here. If you look at his Theragraph numbers, he really hasn't run that fast at all.
No.
Not interested. Not interested.
No, not at all. All right, we go to Jimmy D. Even though this is Chalky's horse, but we'll go to Jimmy D. Disarm.
Chalky can have him. As as I said before, I thought Brown and Pletcher take down about $7 to $8 million worth of purses. Asmussen usually gets about 2 to 3. I'm sorry, million. Asmussen usually gets about 3 million. He's at $1 million in purse earnings so far this year. He's way off his Saratoga numbers. Maybe he's unlucky. I don't know. This arm looks like a second tier horse to me. I don't like him at 1.25 miles. He hasn't shown anything at 1.25 miles. He could strike gold, but that blinkers on thing, that little move he's making. It's a gun runner. I respect gun runners, but I just don't think he's as fast as the others. I'm off him.
Yeah, I got no interest. Mine are placing third, fourth, probably more fourth. If that, I don't like the blinkers move at all because this is a one-run horse that needs to be far drop back and make the run. You put the blinkers, try to put maybe some speed into him, and I feel like that might only take away his late kick. I got no interest. Jason?
Yeah, I'm going to give you out a superfecta when we're done here, and this horse will be my number 4 horse. I think he's going to finish 4th. I don't see him finishing any higher than 4th, but I think he's going to finish 4th.
All right, and we are at Chalky.
Yeah, as much as I loved Epicenter last year for these same connections, I dislike Disarm this year. I thought the last race would have been his setup. Didn't get it done, and 7 horses, he can finish 3rd or 4th, but he's not winning.
All right, and then that leaves us with the very last horse, which is I get to talk about, and that's the 7 Scotland. Yeah, that if you look at years past, that restricted curling races really produced some big time Travers. I don't think this horse has any shot. I feel like the 12-1 is going to be, people are going to bet this horse with speed coming off a big number, 3 for 3 with Alvarado, and I think this is where you gain a little bit of value. Where I think people are going to bet this horse, and I think this horse might go off at like 6-1 when he should not go off above double digits at all. Totally have no interest in this horse whatsoever. Jason?
I do have interest. I think he's going to have the lead. We've seen how horses on the lead at Saratoga have done. He's tripled 2s. So in Theragraph, he might be ready to jump up. This is only his 5th race. I will take a shot using him on top. He'll be my number 2 horse, my backup horse, the Mage. He'll be the only other win horse I have. So I'm going to use him.
All right, Chalky.
Yeah, so at the start I said there were 3 horses I went back and forth on. So by process of elimination, I've only used 2 so far. So this would be the 3rd. I ultimately did not put him on top for some of the reasons Tommy mentioned. I think Curlin's only had 1 winner, VE Day, actually come back and win the Travers. So it's a restricted race, like you mentioned. But again, it's his 5th race. He's been improving. He will be, if he runs like the last race, he'll be on the pace. I think there's a lot of upside potentially here, I don't think he'll be 12-1. I do think he will be bet, which is why, again, not my top pick, but I do think has a better chance at winning than most of the other horses in this race. So he's a win candidate, but not my top pick.
All right, Jimmy D, you started us off, and you get to finish us off.
Well, Scotland. The only thing I'll say about that horse is capital of Scotland's Edinburgh, and that's about all I'll say about that horse because I don't think he had no shot in this race. He's lightly raced. I don't know if he can get the distance. I know there are impressive stats that he's got running against no one. Not smart enough to put, not to put a dog in, and I've seen Keen Ice beat American Pharoah in the Travers. So I won't totally dismiss him, but I'm not using him.
All right. Jason, give out your super first before we give out pick 5, please.
All right, I'm going to give you an ice cold super. Play for $10. Hopefully it pays $500 for $1. Quick 5G. But my top horse will be Mage.
I don't see it paying $500 for $1.
We'll see. Maybe 300. My place horse will be Fort, or Forte, as I would call him. I said I'll use Scotland to win, but I think he most likely is going to be Speed that fades the third. So my third horse will be Scotland the 7, and then I already told you guys who I'm keying as my fourth horse, and that is the 6, Disarm.
Yeah, that's like $105 super, maybe
For $1? You think?
For the favorites.
You got two of the long.
The favorites second and the third.
You want to put your glasses back on. Look at the morning.
I'm throwing out Arcangelo.
I don't think Arcangelo is going to be the second choice, to be honest with you. But we'll see. Hey, we will say, hey, if it wins, it wins. All right, let's do pick 5s. Chalky, your pick 5, which is really going to be good since you didn't handicap the race, but you did say you will somehow have a pick in the 20 minutes. I'm going to give you show, but go for it.
I'm going to give you two pick.
And remember,
so
I will book. If anybody wants to call me with Chalky's pick 5, I'm more than willing to take it.
You can play them. You can play the mandatory pay, which is race 8, or the late pick 5, which begins with race 9. I'll give out both, and these are just my A horses, if you will. So the race that I did not handicap before, but did if the 13 gets in, single the 13. If he does not get in and nobody else scratches, single the 6. If it goes to dirt, single the 16. So figure out which one you like out of that. The next leg, which would be the Allen Jerkins, go 3, 4, 6. Single Olive, single Soldier Rising, and then go 1, 2, 7 in the Travers. That is an $11 ticket for 50 cents. And if you play the late pick 5, play 3, 4, 6 with 7, with 1, with 1, 2, 7, with the 3 in the last leg, which would also be an $11 play for 50 cents.
My head hurts. Jimmy D, did you have a big 5?
I did. 50-cent pick 5. I'd use 3 horses in the first leg, the 2, the 4, and the 7. I'll go slow because I want people to hear this because I'd like them to hit it. 2 horses in the second leg, the 5 and the 6. 2 horses in the third leg, the 6 and the 7. In the fourth leg, the 3, 6, and 7. And in the Travers, the 1 and the 3. If I was singling anybody, it would be Arabian Lion. I think he's a mortal lock.
All right, Jason, pick 5.
So I'm going to assume 13 gets in race 8, so he'll be a single for me in race 8. Race 9, I'm going to use the 3 and the 6. That's, I believe, Verifying and Arabian Lion. Race 10, I'm going to single Echo Zulu. Race 11, I'm going to use the 2 Verstappen. Yeah, and Stone Age is the 7. He'll be my top pick. And I'm going to go too deep in race 12. I'm going to use Mage and the 7 Scotland. So you play that for $1, it's only $8.
All right, I'm going to just give out the caveman version. Again, I singled the 13 if he gets in, and I'm assuming he will. I'm 5-6 in the next, which is Thunder and Lion. I'm single to Zulu, who is the 6. I'm single to Stone Age, the 7. And I'm 1-4 Fort and Mage in the Travers for $1. Chalky, don't have a heart attack. It will cost you $4. So play
I gave
that.
out. I gave out an $11 ticket. I mean, come on.
Wow, you didn't
Yeah,
cap
for
all
him,
the
that's
races.
that's
You didn't cap
that's
all the races.
groundbreaking.
Come on.
No, I also didn't pick all chalk like you did either. But
Wow, I told you I started the sequence that it is all chalk. This is going to be a chalk day.
okay.
It really is. So we
It
shall
might
see.
be.
I'm gonna when Scotland runs last. We'll talk about it next week. All right, episode 69.
Yeah, Forte is my
Well,
top pick. If
Tommy,
Forte doesn't win, you can break my stones.
Tom, if I may, because I'm not sure about getting here next week, though I'd love to be here. I just want to leave you with this. Think of your summer days spent in a racetrack, and there is no excuse to be anywhere else. There is no finer beach than a racetrack in summer. No sweeter taste than beer battered anything served in a paper cup. No better hiking trail than the beeline from the paddock to the windows to the rail. There is no finer entertainment value than a day at the races, a glorious adrenaline rush, unequaled win or lose, repeated 10 or 11 times daily. Now place that setting with a Victorian charm located in the Adirondack Mountains. Then, my friends, you've reached the euphoric Elysian fields of Saratoga Springs. Get there if you haven't gotten there yet, because it's worth the trip.
Well said. Let's hope with the rain holds off as much as possible. We have a great Travers day. Jimmy D, you'll be there. And now is that are you there for race 1 or you get there a little bit later in the card?
A little later.
A little later.
Yeah, a little later in the card. But it's Travers Day, Tom, so I got to get there at about 7 or 8 o'clock, put out the chairs. The running of the bulls happens then.
Now hold on. I don't like to pull the curtain back. When Jimmy says he's got to get there, he sends his wife to go there because I've been there.
Exactly,
I've been there on
exactly
Travers
right.
Day, and he's never gotten up at 7 o'clock to go put the chairs down. So
Hey, that's very, very true. I can't argue with that.
Usually Friday nights at Saratoga.
I think I can hear her
get
laughing
over
in the
until after
background there,
midnight.
but-
So it's Saturday
Well,
morning.
if they let me put out the chairs at 1:30 in the morning, I'd be okay.
right, yeah. But
All right. Episode
great.
69, Broad Street Hustle. Next week is NFL preview show. Finally here. It feels like we talked about for so long. That should be great. And it would be is that closing weekend? Yeah, closing weekend of Saratoga.
Yeah,
So,
we might have to do.
yeah, it might be a double week. We'll have to talk to
Might be a double week. We'll see.
our production crew and see what we can get done. So episode 69, Broad Street Hustle. Thanks for listening. Have a good night.
Take care.